Part 46. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 451. Chapter 451 Carlo's invitation to the International Fashion Festival. Hearing several exclamations from the entrance to the backstage, Yun Chan handed the disposable paper cup in his hand to Zhang Lingzi, who had helped her a lot today, and then turned to look over. At this sight, he couldn't help but be startled, and quickly raised his feet to meet him. "Mr. Carlo, why are you here?" Carlo looked past her to Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting in front of the makeup mirror drinking water. Even in this noisy and busy backstage, that figure is still calm and dignified. Even if someone is passing by, you will subconsciously step lightly when you walk to that area, for fear of disturbing that person. Carlo was reluctant to move his eyes away. In his country, the royal family still exists. But as time goes by, as the power in their hands gradually falls away, those noble members of the royal family have long lost the momentum that their ancestors had thousands of years ago, and now they have become like mascots. People will still bow to them when they meet them, but they are just following the etiquette handed down from ancient times to the present. Rather than saluting the person, they were paying respect to the royal status the person held. With his current status and reputation, he has met quite a few people in the royal family. He has even designed many tailor-made dresses for the current queen, princes, and princesses to attend major occasions. The court etiquette of these people is impeccable, but even when they are face to face, he has never felt the dignity that seems to have been engraved in his bones. Even though he is wearing rags, he still has an awe-inspiring aura that cannot be blasphemed in the slightest. That is a superb aura that cannot be brought out by any gorgeous clothes. Until today, and just now, he discovered that it was not that there were no people with this aura in the world, but that he had never had the chance to see them before. "I want to have a few words with Miss Zhang alone." Yun Chan had already guessed the purpose of Mr. Carlo's backstage from the direction he was looking at. There was no surprise on his face when he heard what he said, and he didn't ask any questions. He just made a please gesture sideways. "Mr. Carlo, please." Carlo nodded towards her, took 2 steps forward with a cane, and then suddenly stopped. Yun Chan was stunned when he saw this. Before he could speak, he saw the old man turning around and walking to the makeup mirror on the side. He first smoothed down the few gray hair that had been blown into pieces by the wind at the show, and then after adjusting the lapel chain on the chest and the silk scarf in the pocket, he finally put down the crutch and tidied the cuffs and upper cuffs, then picked up the crutch again, turned around and continued walking in the direction where Zhang Lingzi was sitting. Yun Chan. She was so shocked by the old man's serious attitude that she didn't know whether to follow him or not. Yunping quietly walked up to Yun Chan, followed his sister's gaze, and asked in a low voice, "Why did Mr. Carlo come backstage?" "See Lingzi." Yunping couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and boldly speculated, Ling 11's performance at the show just now was really amazing. Does this old man also have a crush on her? If true, it would definitely be a good thing for Ling 11. Yun Chan nodded slightly in agreement. At the same time, he silently added in his mind, "I'm afraid there's more." The scene of the old man solemnly arranging his hairstyle and clothes in front of the makeup mirror just now still stayed in her mind. It's almost like preparing to go to an audience. As the two of them were talking, they saw that Mr. Carlo had walked to Zhang Lingzi's right-hand side, about 1 meter away, and stopped. Zhang Lingzi also put down the empty paper cup in her hand and turned to look at him. I saw this old man holding a cane in his left hand, raising his right hand and placing it on his heart, with his fingers slightly clasped, and there was no perfunctory or wrong etiquette standard. Ms. Zhang. The 2 Yun sisters who also saw this gift not far away took a deep breath in unison. "Sister, you have been around the world longer than me. What does this etiquette mean?" Yun Chan paused for a moment before replying in a low voice, "I once attended a high-level international banquet, the kind that even princes and princesses from some imperial countries would attend. I have seen something similar, but not sure if it's the same one. Zhang Lingzi had already stood up. Although she didn't understand what this etiquette meant, she could feel Mr. Carlo's attitude at the moment. Different from the way the elders looked at the younger generations in the show stands, it was the look down upon the lower ones from the superiors. But now there is more respect, and the eyes are level. "Mr. Carlo, are you looking for me?" "Yes, I came to say a few words to you. I hope I won't disturb your rest." Seeing that the girl in front of him was not flattered at all, she calmly accepted his sudden visit, and she still responded to it calmly, neither humble nor arrogant. Carlo smiled broadly, and he had indeed seen the right person. "I just walked around the catwalk, I'm not tired at all." Zhang Lingzi moved a chair from the side with one hand. "Please sit down." When Carlo sat down, she sat down again and waited quietly for the old man in front of her to speak. Carlo rarely considered what he was going to say, and then he slowly spoke. "I have been studying the culture of your country in the past few years. The more I study, the more fascinated I become. This is why I accepted Yun Chan's invitation to come here this time. The reason for watching the show. 3 years ago, I saw an incomplete dragon robe in a museum. At that moment, I felt that the dragon robe had a soul and gave me a wonderful inspiration. With this inspiration, I designed a piece of clothing that is the pinnacle of my life." Zhang Lingzi listened carefully and looked at the enthusiasm on the face of Mr. Carlo. "Congratulations." "Thank you," Carlo said, "but I have never been able to find someone who can show it perfectly. After all, clothes are just clothes, and they are only complete when worn on the right person." Zhang Lingzi already had some guesses after hearing this. After all, you can't just come to her to share your design process. Until I saw you on the runway, Miss Zhang, the aura you showed on the runway perfectly matched the person I imagined. I would like to formally invite you to attend the International Fashion Ceremony in 1 month as my honored guest. I just wonder if Ms. Zhang has time." Zhang Lingzi narrowed her eyes slightly. She still remembered this international fashion celebration. After all, it had not been long ago. It seems that Jinghuai's manager Li Yuan once promised that if she can help Jinghuai appear in Heritage, she will give her a guest female companion at an international fashion festival. It was just that she flatly rejected him, and Tong Yu felt sorry for it. Unexpectedly, things have taken a turn for the worse now. If Tong Yu knew, she would be very happy, and even if she doesn't have time, she would be able to reschedule her time. Furthermore, she remembered that Kongguyan and Mai Shuiking's base camp was also the place where the grand ceremony was held. Maybe we can take this opportunity to go and meet him for a while. My pleasure. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 452. Yun Chan watched Mr. Carlo leave with a smile on his face, and then looked at Zhang Lingzi with more surprise than before. She has seen that the old man didn't show any pretense even when he was facing the princes and princesses of a kingdom, and he would not suppress his temper to cater to the other person with a smile. She was actually able to laugh so happily this time. She was really curious about what the two of them had just said. However, no matter how curious she was, she knew what was right and didn't ask any more questions about it. But after thinking about it, he decided to remind and show his kindness. Mr. Carlo has a transcendent status in the fashion industry. He just came to see you backstage in person. It seems that he is very satisfied with your performance on the show just now. You can be appreciated by this old man. There are not many people. If you have the idea of entering the fashion industry, this is a rare opportunity. There will be an international fashion festival next month, which is several times bigger than my big show. If you are interested, I will do it. There are still a few spots left. I appreciate Sister Yun's kindness. Zhang Lingzi took the makeup remover she handed over, squinted her left eye and covered it, and replied softly, I just got a quota, so I won't take up the quota in Sister Yun's hand. Yunchan paused while holding the makeup remover, then quickly reacted, is it Mr. Carlo? Yun Chan couldn't help but exclaim in her heart. She did see that the old man admired Zhang Lingzi very much, but she didn't expect that he would think so highly of her. He was actually personally invited to an international fashion event. There are probably not many people in the world who can have this honor. You must know that this is the first time the two of them have met. This old man is just as unpredictable as ever. Congratulations. This is truly a step to the sky. Thanks. Looking at the person in front of him who was squinting and waiting quietly for the makeup remover to take effect, his clear and fair face was not ecstatic at all, but calm as always. A voice rang out inexplicably in my heart, this girl is worth it. After taking off her makeup, Zhang Lingzi, with the help of Yun Chan, took off the clothes called Moyun Liuyan and put them back into the original ones, and then prepared to leave the backstage. Shen Shuiyu and the others must have been waiting impatiently. Let's have lunch together later, and then she has to leave to go back to the set. Whether watching a show or walking a show, it is always a small incident for her. She knows very well that her current serious job is still acting. Ling 11, wait a moment. Yun Chan caught up with Zhang Lingzi at the backstage door carrying a big bag. The other person turned around and said, this is for you. Zhang Lingzi only glanced at the bag and recognized it as the Moyun Liuyan she had just taken off. She pushed it back and said, no, this is too expensive. Yun Chan insisted, if it weren't for you this time, this show that I have carefully prepared for almost a month would probably have been the biggest regret. And after seeing you walking through the desert clouds and flowing smoke, I can't imagine anyone else it can produce a more stunning effect than yours. Instead of leaving it here and waiting for someone else to borrow it or order it, I would rather give it to you who presented it perfectly, she said with a look of embarrassment on her face. After all, it's really hard for me to say no to some people. If that happens, she will be reluctant to lend it out, and if she doesn't, she will offend others. That's the dilemma. A light touch on the hand. Zhang Lingzi hooked her fingers on the rope, I will keep it well. This dress is not for daily wear, but given her current status, it is not impossible for her to wear it. And to be honest, this one is indeed her favorite among the clothes shown in today's show. There will be a celebration party in the hotel next. I won't go to the reception. Zhang Lingzi really has no interest in the reception. She sees people she doesn't know. She has no interest in talking to strangers. She would rather have a serious meal with people she knows well. I'll have dinner with Chuyo later, and I plan to return to the crew. That's fine, Yun Chan heard the words and didn't force him. He smiled and nodded, with Mr. Carlo's appreciation, all the people at the reception together won't be as important as him alone. But I guess I don't have time to give it to you. When the time comes Before Yun Chan could finish speaking, her assistant hurried over and handed over a cell phone that was still vibrating. Sister Yun, the call from the hotel should be that the young master is awake. Yun Chan was stunned and quickly took the phone and dialed to connect. I heard the person on the other end of the phone say, boss, the young master woke up. He first went to the bathroom to vomit, and just now he went to the presidential suite next door despite our obstruction. You keep an eye on him and don't kill anyone. I'm pretty busy here, so I'll go back now. Zhang Lingzi didn't leave. When she hung up the phone, she asked, Yunyi is awake. Well, I guess my memory has been restored. I have to go back and have a look. Ling 11, you guys. Let's get together then. That girl Shen Shuiyu must be very curious. Of course, she would not admit that she was also curious about whether Shen Shuiyu's guess was accurate. So when all the invited VIPs at the show were still leaving the show one after another and getting into the arranged vehicles to rush to the hotel where the celebration reception was held, a business car had already left first. In the car, After hearing that Yunyi had woken up and probably recovered his memory, Shen Shui's eyes suddenly lit up. Baba looked at Yun Chan, who was sitting opposite with a serious expression. "Sister Yun, can I?" Yun Chan looked at her and then at Changning, who was sitting next to Zhang Lingzi. "You can go directly to my place later and turn on the surveillance. I have to go to the other side to see what that brat wants to do." Yunyi actually doesn't want to do anything at this moment. He only hated how his eyes could be so blind in the first place. He actually regards Li Yan as his best friend, and he cannot see the true nature of Lian. Now that I have woken up and thought about it carefully, I can see that everything had already begun. It was because he was too stupid to see through the disguises of the two idiots in front of him. Lian couldn't help but shuddered at Yunyi's eyes. She swallowed her saliva and asked tremblingly, You remember it all? Where is the USB flash drive?" Lian's face turned a few shades paler in an instant, and she forced herself to speak harshly. What kind of USB flash drive is it? Are you pretending to be stupid with me?" Yunyi couldn't help but sneered and raised his hand. The bodyguard standing next to him leaned down. "What are your orders, master?" Lian's pupils shrank when she saw this scene. If she had known that Yunyi was Yun Chan's son, how could she have turned to hook up with Li Yan, whose father was just the owner of a small logistics company? But the world didn't know it earlier, and it's too late for her to regret it now. You can only hold on to what you can hold on to now. That USB flash drive must not be found. Go and search their luggage. Remember, don't even search under the insoles of your shoes. Seeing that his young master woke up, he didn't even care about the pair of scumbag men and in front of him who had betrayed him and caused him serious injuries, amnesia, and almost death. They just wanted to find a USB flash drive. Then this USB flash drive must be very important. The bodyguard immediately nodded seriously, yes. Then he raised his hand and called two people, heading straight to the bedroom where the luggage was kept. Li Yan was afraid that if he spoke too much he would make a mistake. He had originally made up his mind not to speak, but now he couldn't hold it back and asked, "What USB flash drive?" Yunyi saw his confused look, tried hard to identify it and made sure it was not fake. Then he looked at Lian, the disgust in his eyes became a little thicker. "You don't really plan to reach the sky with that USB flash drive, do you? Be careful to hand over that thing. It will kill you directly." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 453. Yun Chan came in and happened to meet two bodyguards who were searching for the USB flash drive coming out of the room. "Boss. Master, the USB flash drive you mentioned was not found." Yun Yi subconsciously stood up when he saw his own mother coming in, looking at her with admiration and complexity. Before he recovered his memory, he could call out that voice without any problem. But now that his memory had returned, he couldn't help but think about the increasingly tense relationship between himself and his mother over the years. He opened his mouth, but still couldn't make a sound. Yun Chan saw him like this and knew that this brat had really regained his memory. However, what USB flash drive were you talking about? Lian was almost frozen into a statue now, and everyone in the room was looking at her, including Li Yan. Just when she didn't dare to take a breath, Yun Yi's cold eyes searched her whole body. The adventure team was exploring in the desert before. Lian and I once left the team to take a group photo with trachoma. I met a man in the sand there, a man who was about to die. The man didn't let us save him. He only gave us a USB flash drive and said that when we get it to a place with signal and plug it into the computer, someone will get the message and come over to take the USB flash drive away. What do we want then? The rewards can be raised. I didn't intend to meddle in other people's business because I didn't think that person was a good person. However, this Miss Lian had the thought to ask that person if the USB flash drive was worth 10 million, and the person simply nodded. Then she took the USB drive and the man died after a while. After I went back to join the rest of the adventure team, I originally wanted to tell everyone about this, and by the way, let someone in the team know about computers to check if there was anything weird about the USB flash drive, but this Miss Lian refused to hand it over. Everyone. I have no choice but to give up. Later. Yunyi said this and raised his hand to touch the back of his head, which also made Lian and Li Yan swallow their saliva. The more I think about it, the more uneasy I feel. There is really no need to contact dangerous people for an illusory reward, so I went to Lian's tent at night to persuade her to give up the idea, but she heard Li Yan was also in her tent, and Lian told him that she was pregnant. Aware of the disdainful looks from around them, their faces suddenly turned red and white. Red means shame, white means panic. Yunyi explained so clearly what happened in the desert that they could no longer lie to themselves. Yunyi has really recovered his memory, and there is no memory loss as they prayed for. Li Yan made a quick decision and slid down from the sofa, kneeling in front of Yunyi, with red eyes and a face filled with regret. Yunyi, I'm sorry, I don't deserve to be your brother. But it was Lian who seduced me first. She was very pretentious, and we were both deceived by her. I knew it was wrong to hurt you, and I was shocked at the time. How could she be so worried? Cruel, but now I know, she probably wants to monopolize the reward from that USB flash drive, and she didn't even tell me. Yunyi listened to his sophistry expressionlessly, then suddenly raised his leg and kicked him on the shoulder. Don't pretend to be so innocent. You two are half as good as each other. You are not a good person. Li Yan was kicked so hard that he fell directly to the ground. His elbows hit the hard floor and he couldn't help but groan. Despair surged in my heart. This kick really had no sense of brotherhood. Lian couldn't help but shrink back and gritted her teeth to prevent herself from shouting out in fear. Seeing Yunyi looking towards her, she quickly shook her head crazily. I didn't. Let me ask again, where is the USB flash drive? Asterisk. In the suite next door. Shenchuo looked at the surveillance screen on the big screen and couldn't help but click her tongue twice. It seems that I still have some detective talent. This is quite different from what I had guessed before. Lu Zhengzheng looked at Yunyi, who had a cold face on the surveillance camera and his whole body had changed drastically. I didn't expect Yunyi's original temperament to be like this. It's quite similar to his mother. Changning glanced at the two people talking, and then moved his eyes to the surveillance camera. There is also a USB flash drive in the whole thing. Is it really such a good thing that if you meet a dying person and help deliver something, you can get a large reward? Obviously, this Lian believed it and wanted to keep it all to himself. He is not a very good character, but he has quite a lot of courage and appetite. Zhang Lingzi sat among the three of them and listened quietly to their discussion. She suddenly turned to look at Changning. Changning, where do you think this Lian would hide the USB flash drive? The USB flash drive is not big, so if you accidentally drop it somewhere, it's not easy to find. You have to put it in a more conspicuous container or carry it with you. The bodyguards have already searched it, so the only thing left is. The two of them looked at Lian's movements on the surveillance camera. Changning would have thought of this, and Yunyi would naturally have thought of it too. But when he was asked to do the search himself, he hesitated but gave up. Seeing this, Yun Chan waved and called a female bodyguard over. Search her. Lian still wanted to struggle, but before she could stand up, she was pinned down and unable to move. The female bodyguard dragged her directly to the bedroom. After a few minutes, she brought her back. Boss, master, I searched her whole body, and there is no USB flash drive. Lian shook her hands and closed her still messy collar, and saw Yunyi's clenched fist. Yes, I accidentally lost the USB flash drive. Impossible, Yunyi didn't believe a single pinyin of what she said. Since it's lost, why didn't you say it just now? I was too scared and forgot. Asterisk. Impossible, Changning frowned and murmured to himself, it's not in the room, nor is it on my body, so where else can I hide it? Is it possible that she can secretly eat it? Hearing her guess, Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but chuckle. You can't eat things randomly, especially for someone like Lian who cherishes his life. Besides, there is still a place on Lian that was not found just now. Shen Shuiyu was stunned for a moment, then thought of something and suddenly looked disgusted. No way. Zhang Lingzi, where are you thinking? I'm talking about hair. Shen Shuiyu immediately blushed. Zhang Lingzi looked at Changning who had already stood up. Changning, go over and tell them. Changning nodded, opened the door and walked towards the opposite side. Just when Yunyi was about to find a way to build an electronic detector to see if the USB flash drive was really eaten by Lian, he heard the door knock and turned around to see Changning. Changning, how do you? Sister 11 and I are watching from the next door, Changning replied coldly. He didn't care about Yunyi's suddenly depressed expression and walked straight to Lian. Then he reached out his hand like lightning and grabbed her. The pom-pom on the hair rope used to tie the hair on the head was torn off directly along with a few hair strands. The tingling pain came from her scalp. Only then did Lian see what was in Changning's hand, and her expression suddenly changed. But this time Changning's expression changed faster than hers. She took the pom-pom in her hand and pinched it to make sure there was something inside. But the thing suddenly burned the palm of her hand. Even though she let go immediately, there was still a burnt mark on her palm. Zhang Lingzi saw the scene on the surveillance camera, frowned immediately, stood up and walked out. She ordered Changning to go over, but she had no intention of getting her injured. As for those who were closer, by the time Yunyi reacted, he had already stepped forward and grabbed Changning's hand. Does it hurt? Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 454. I'm fine. Changning took off Yunyi's hand and looked at the pom-pom that fell on the ground with a solemn expression. Everyone in the room who saw the marks on Changning's palms were also stunned. There was some kind of poison on this pom-pom, but it turned out like this when I touched it with my hand. But the most stupid person is Lian, the owner of the pom-pom hair rope. She had tied the hair tie herself this morning, and when it was just pulled off, she had touched it several times inadvertently to make sure that the things that had been hastily sewn inside were still there. How did this suddenly turn into something that could hurt people? For a moment, everyone stared blankly at the pom-pom that fell on the ground. No one dared to reach out and pick it up. Just when Yunyi was about to question Lian about what other slanderous tactics she had done, Zhang Lingzi also came with Shen Shuiyu and Lu Zhengzheng who had followed them spontaneously. How is your hand? Changning pursed his lips and shook his head. He was concerned about the people present and only looked back. Zhang Lingzi received it and immediately understood it. It doesn't matter what I say. Zhang Lingzi immediately squatted down to pick up the pom-poms on the ground, and heard several stopping voices coming from behind. Lu Zhengzheng rushed over and stretched out his hand to pat her down, but when he saw that the hand holding the pom-pom was still white and moist, he paused. Why is everything okay? Her mind suddenly couldn't turn around. Zhang Lingzi lowered her head to find the thread on the pom-pom, pulled it sharply, and then opened it. A USB flash drive not much bigger than a fingernail suddenly came into view. Lian felt her eyes darken, and her face turned completely gloomy. Zhang Lingzi held the U-disc in her hand and looked at it carefully. She was not very familiar with this kind of electronic object. She only knew that it was used to store information, and that she had to use a computer or something to see what was inside. But the USB flash drive in her hand can hurt Changning, who is a magician, but has no effect on ordinary people, so it cannot be an ordinary USB flash drive. Changning, come. Changning was about to step forward, but Yunyi subconsciously stopped her. I won't touch it. She understood that Sister Zixi just wanted her to go over and have a look. Zhang Lingzi waited for Changning to come over and pointed at the scratches on the USB flash drive that were not noticeable unless you looked carefully, patterns and numbers. Changning's face turned solemn. Sister Zixi, I need to take it away. Zhang Lingzi gestured to Yunyi who was standing behind him, then you should ask him too. Yunyi didn't wait for Changning to ask, and nodded in agreement. You can take it away, but I want to ask, what exactly is this USB flash drive, and how can it hurt you? Is it dangerous for you to hold it? Changning was in a solemn mood at this moment, but seeing Yunyi's worried look on her face, and if it wasn't for Yunyi, she really wouldn't have been able to find the USB flash drive. She hesitated for a moment and replied patiently, I can't find it yet. Sure, but it's definitely not a good thing. Your instinct was right, this thing is dangerous, but I have to take it away. Lian watched helplessly as her USB flash drive was taken away, still a little unwilling to give up, but the USB flash drive is half as good as mine. But no one paid any attention to her. Now that the USB flash drive that the brat had longed for as soon as he regained his memory has been obtained, Yun Chan asked the bodyguard to continue to keep an eye on Lian and Li Yan, go to the opposite side. She also had some questions and curiosity about the USB flash drive, but it was a mess and obviously not the place to ask questions. Returning to the room opposite, Yun Chan lowered his head and glanced at the time, and heard Changning asking his brat, do you and Lian still have any memories of the man you met? And the place where he was found, can you still find him? Yun Yi recalled carefully for a moment. The man was about 30 years old, with half-length hair and a black robe. I can draw a map of the location. Changning was not satisfied with this answer. What does it look like specifically? Yun Yi was silent for a moment, and then replied in a low voice, Lian said that she studied painting before, and she should be able to draw that person's appearance. Hearing this, Zhang Lingzi looked at Yun Chan. Yun Chan immediately ordered his men to take paper and pens and go to the opposite side. When Yun Yi also took a pen and paper and started drawing a map, Yun Chan sent the other people in the room away. Seeing this, Zhang Lingzi asked Shen Chuiu and Lu Zhengzheng to go to the restaurant below the hotel to order first. The two of them had no choice but to suppress their curiosity and go out obediently. Yun Chan closed the door and looked at his son, who was sitting at the desk and drawing a map carefully. Ling 11, Miss Changning, the USB flash drive, and the person who handed the USB flash drive to Yun Yi, aren't they all a bit unusual? I have been in the international fashion industry for many years, and I have seen some weird things that are not normal. For example, ordinary people can hold the USB flash drive in Changning girl's hand, but Changning girl is not ordinary human. Yun Yi, who was drawing a map, suddenly raised his head. Changning opened the still scorched marks on the palm of his hand, and saw Zhang Lingzi nodded lightly towards her, and then said in a deep voice, you are right, I have learned some skills from my master that are special to ordinary people. There are indeed some people and things in this world that are a bit weird to ordinary people. The person Yun Yi saw in the desert before, and this USB flash drive, both belong to this category, but our approach is different, and it can even be said that they are relative. So what's on that USB drive can hurt me. However, the main thing I learned is about force. I need to give this USB flash drive to more professional people to decipher the contents. I can only say this much. Yun Yi was unintentionally involved. The map is well drawn. Just forget about this USB flash drive and that person in the desert, it's no good knowing too much. Yun Yi was about to say something, but Changning no longer looked at him. Sister Yun, too. Yun Chan nodded. I know the severity because she had seen it with her own eyes when she was abroad. She knew the horror of those people better than the brat Yun Yi. She just didn't expect that Chang Ning was actually from that world. But he is Zhang Lingzi's assistant again, so Lingzi. She forced herself not to think about it any further. Looking at the disappointed son again, I sighed secretly. This rare fate is now experiencing constant twists and turns. In addition, Chang Ning has such a special status. This little boy's secret love is probably going to end in vain. Lian was pressed down and drew a sketch. After Yun Yi confirmed it, he handed it to Chang Ning together with the map. Thank you. Even Chang Ning did not expect that she and Sister Zixi just saved someone casually, but they would get such an unexpected gain. Yun Yi held a corner of the paper and said, "No need to thank me. I don't know what you are going to do, but no matter what, you must be careful and protect yourself." Seeing Chang Ning nodding towards him, he let go of his hand. Zhang Lingzi waited for the two of them to finish speaking, then shook the phone in her hand. "Chiwio said that we have some good food, so we should go down." Yun Chan smiled and continued, "I wasted a lot of time here, and Yun Ping supported me at the reception. Then Ling 11, you and Chang Ning go to dinner quickly. Yun Yi, do you want to follow me to the reception to meet you?" And since it was unlikely, she thought it would be better to separate the two of them. Yun Yi finally nodded. After his memory recovered, he really didn't know how to face Chang Ning and always felt a little at a loss. Zhang Lingzi and Chang Ning got off the elevator first. On the way from the corridor to the box, Zhang Lingzi asked her, "Are the things going to be sent back to the imperial capital?" "No," Chang Ning shook his head. "Sister Zixi, since that man died in the desert, sir, after knowing about it, he should send someone to come over in person." Zhang Lingzi. She had an inexplicable premonition that someone would come over in person. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 455. As soon as Chang Ning sat down on her seat, Shen Chiwio grabbed the hand that she had accidentally injured. Seeing that the burnt black marks on his head were still obvious, "Chang Ning, your hands." "It's okay, just take care of it and you'll be fine." It's just that Shen Chiwio held her hand like this, and Huzi, who had just been called over by Zhang Lingzi, also saw it. The act of getting up and pouring water is a meal. Zhang Lingzi saw Huzi's reaction in his eyes. She initially thought that this Huzi was just Chen Yunking's driver and bodyguard, but since he was sent here with Chang Ning this time, she guessed that he was more than just a driver. Now that he has this reaction when he sees Chang Ning's injury, then in all likelihood, even if he is not a magician, he still knows a lot about magicians. "Let's eat first." Huzi poured the water and swallowed back what he originally wanted to say. After eating, they went back to the room upstairs, and Huzi followed them silently. While Lu Zhengzheng went to the bedroom to pack her luggage, Zhang Lingzi took out the USB flash drive that she had always kept on her body, and Chang Ning gave a rough explanation of the origin of the USB flash drive. Seeing Huzi frowning at the pattern engraved on the USB flash drive, Zhang Lingzi asked a question that she had never had the chance to ask before: "Do you all know this pattern?" The two people who were asked nodded in unison. There was only their husband's wife in the room now, so there was no need to hide anything. Chang Ning was the first to speak and replied, "This pattern is the mark of the Changkang clan. The magicians who join the Changkang clan all have a common goal, immortality." When she said this, there was a hint of obvious disgust on her face. "Longevity, it is illusory and vain, and the attempt to live forever is just a dream, but those people in the Changkang sect are obviously crazy, and they have used all kinds of forbidden methods for the sake of immortality, and they have implicated the lives of many innocent ordinary people. It turned out to be for longevity." Zhang Lingzi can understand. After all, throughout the ages, there have been many emperors, generals, and prime ministers who wanted to seek immortality. But if you involve ordinary people for the sake of immortality, then you are not seeking immortality, but committing evil. Huza continued what Chang Ning said, no matter what the people of the Changkang clan do, they have a purpose. They will not waste time on things that are useless for studying immortality. Since the people of the Changkang clan appear in the desert, they are dying. He also took out this USB flash drive and asked someone to help him send it out, so there may be some important information in this USB flash drive, and he was specially guarded against people who are also magicians. Chang Ning touched the mark on his hand and nodded lightly. She was hurt, wasn't she? Zhang Lingzi turned the USB drive in her hand and looked at the laptop that Lu Zhengzheng had just put on the table for work. She resisted the urge to plug it in to see what was going on. Your husband should have had lunch by this time. Call him and talk to him, and we'll head back to the set after the call. Huza responded, took out his mobile phone and dialed the number. Asterisk. At this time, in the imperial capital, in the backyard of the Nashuan Private Painting and Calligraphy Museum. Zhang Nashuan was flipping through the information he had been reading for a while. Veins had already popped out on the back of his hands and forehead, and his face was even more black and red. He felt like he would bleed if he wasn't careful. The atmosphere in the living room was solemn. Shen Yunqing sat on the guest chair nearby, glanced at the figure outside the door who did not dare to walk in, and added a cup of tea for himself. After drinking half a glass, I finally heard the sound of the document being closed. He put down his teacup and looked over. Mr. Zhang. Zhang Nashuan raised his hand and pressed his temples, and then pinched his eyebrows before suppressing the bursts of blackness in front of his eyes. His tone was extremely hoarse and he said, "My family is unlucky." Now he finally understood why the young man in front of him visited in the afternoon. If he came here in the morning and read this information, he would not be able to eat lunch. Zhang Anfeng used your reputation, Mr. Zhang. After I found out this, I decided to come and visit you after much hesitation. By doing this, he could indeed accumulate a huge amount of wealth in a short period of time, but it would destroy you if reputation is the premise. If things go on like this, people's greed will become bigger and bigger. Zhang Nashuan nodded with a dark face. This information was so detailed that he couldn't even deceive himself that it was fake. He can also guess why Shen Yunqing investigated Zhang Anfeng. An almost had an accident last time, and the treatment of Ling Xian's girl was just the beginning. Now after the divorce, Ling Xian did not live alone, but returned home. 2 days ago, he called him crying and told him that he knew he was wrong. He was determined to give up, but that was all he could do. Is it possible that you really go to your eldest son's house and kick out such a granddaughter? But Shen Yunqing and Zhang Lingzi have no feelings for Zhang Lingxian. They should be angry because their eldest son's family has not dealt with it thoroughly. Investigating the eldest son's company, Shen Yunqing, or the Shen family, does have this ability. But as long as you run the company honestly, nothing can be found even if you conduct an investigation. But what was before him now was all such evil ways. If Zhang Anfeng stood in front of him now, he would be eager to kick such a away. Don't worry, Mr. Shen. I would also like to thank you for coming here to tell me this, otherwise I would never know until my death that he did such a thing to ruin my reputation without telling me. Now that I know about this, even if Zhang Anfeng is my biological son, I won't tolerate it either. Shen Yunqing glanced at Zhang Nashuan's increasingly bad expression, and he was obviously angry. He hesitated for a moment, then handed over what he had prepared. This is Suxiaojuxin pill. In addition to this information, I also found out one more thing. Zhang Nashuan. He reached out and took it, his face twitching a few times. Isn't it still related to my stupid son? Shen Yunqing nodded. In the end, Zhang Nashuan unscrewed the cap of the bottle and poured 2 pills into his mouth, holding them under his tongue. You tell me, I can hold on. While investigating Zhang Anfeng's company, my people also found out that someone gave birth to a son for Zhang Anfeng, who was just 3 years old. Mrs. Zhang should also know about this. Gudong. Zhang Nashuan directly swallowed the 2 suxiaojuxin pills in his mouth. After Shen Yunqing finished speaking, he picked up the cup and took a sip of tea, which also gave Mr. Zhang in front of him time to calm down. Just after taking a sip, the phone in his pocket vibrated. When Zhang Nashuan finally calmed down from the anger with the help of suxiaojuxin pill, he put down the hand covering his heart and looked up to see Shen Yunqing, who had returned from answering the phone, and his whole body was no longer as peaceful as before. "I'm here to say goodbye to Mr. Zhang." Zhang Nashuan was stunned and subconsciously stood up holding onto the table. "I already understand the purpose of Mr. Shen's visit. If there is something, let's deal with it quickly. Mr. Zhang, there is no need to give it away." But Zhang Nashuan still sent the person to the entrance of the museum, watched Shen Yunqing's car leave, and then he held his heart and couldn't help but hiss softly. Zhang Ye was immediately startled and quickly reached out to help him. Zhang Nashuan waved his hand towards him and took a deep breath. "No need to help me, you go call Zhang Anfeng and ask him to get over here right away." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 456. Chapter 456 decided to go to the desert. Boss. Go back to Z1 directly and book a flight to Liangchuan tomorrow morning. We will also arrange for vehicles and supplies to cross the desert. Zhu listened attentively and memorized it in his mind. He still couldn't hold it back and said, "Boss, you want to go into the desert too?" But your body. Shen Yunqing was holding his cell phone while sending a message when he heard a sound that interrupted him. "It doesn't matter. You don't have to follow this time. You stay in the imperial capital. You can continue to keep an eye on Zhang Anfeng and Chen Rui's company. If there is any situation, call and report." "Yes. Huzi called just now. They discovered the whereabouts of Chang Kangman in the desert over Liangchuan." Not long after the message was sent out, Wuju replied, "Aren't Huzi and Chang Ning accompanying His Majesty on the set for filming?" Chang Yin, "No, isn't Yin Chang's target not His Majesty, but something in the desert? It's still unclear. They got a USB flash drive with the Chang Kangman mark on it. I plan to go there myself, as the desert is becoming increasingly unsafe. But you are in good health. I have already booked a flight ticket." Wuju deleted the words "can I cancel the flight ticket" after booking it, because he knew very well that this was not a question of whether the flight ticket was booked or not. This was Shen Yunqing telling him, "I have made up my mind and there is no advice. Use. It just so happens that the situation here has stabilized. I will go with you this time. I will set off early tomorrow morning." "So urgent?" "Me, I will rush over as soon as possible. Let's meet up at the place. The desert is no better than other places. You are not allowed to act without permission before I arrive." "Good." Wuju breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the word "good." Then he jumped up and said, "The hospital needs to find someone to take over quickly. He might as well get away as soon as possible and rush to the desert." The car drove all the way back to Z1, and Xiaoji soon learned about her husband's decision to go to the desert. Seeing the tense expression on the face of the person in front of him, he swallowed back his words of dissuasion and turned around to start packing his luggage meticulously. Since he is destined to be incapable of persuasion, there is no need for him to waste any more words. Asterisk. Zhang Lingzi didn't wait for Yun Chen and the others to come back from the reception. After saying goodbye to Shen Shuiyu, who looked reluctant to leave, she got in the car back to the set. Arrive at the set before the sun goes down. Wei Xiao raised his eyebrows when he looked at Zhang Lingzi, who came back to him to cancel the fake. "Where's Kong Gaian's flight tomorrow? Why didn't you stay in the city for one more day?" He came back after watching the show Kongai and said he would come back tomorrow. Well, this time I finally knew to tell you in advance that your scenes will be with him and they won't start filming until the day after tomorrow. Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but think of the phone call Hyuza made to Shen Yunqing before coming back. If Shen Yunqing really planned to come here in person and set off from the imperial capital, he would most likely be on a plane tomorrow morning. He wouldn't run into Changyin then, right? Sister 11 is back. Wei Minmin ran over in costume. Zhang Lingzi looked at her outfit and asked, "Do you have a night show tonight?" "Yes." Wei Minmin suddenly looked sad when asked about this. "You and Mr. Chang have both asked for leave. Can't our director Wei use other actors to squeeze them hard? Tonight there will be Heritage of Calligraphy and Painting. It's the third and final episode. I guess I'll just have to watch the replay." Zhang Lingzi touched her nose and said, "The signal from the crew is so bad, can it be broadcast?" "The signal has been good for the past 2 days." Hearing what she said, Zhang Lingzi took out her mobile phone and saw the signal in the upper left corner of the screen flashing back and forth between 2 bars and 3 bars. It is indeed much better than having only one grid or none at all before. The last episode was quite exciting. Especially the part where Lin Yo proves his innocence. I just don't know how well the program team edited it later. Thinking about it, she also planned to go back and take a look after dinner later. So during dinner, Guard Minmin went to Kahaha to film the night scene again. Zhang Lingzi took Lu Zhengzheng and Chang Ning and the others in the RV and clicked on the live broadcast version of Heritage of Calligraphy and Painting, relying on the signal that was strong and weak intermittently. It seems Shen Chui also had a dinner party organized by her colleagues in the evening, but she regretted it not long after she came. He Jing was also there and made a special appearance as the finale. She was too lazy to confront this person for Tad, and she couldn't help but give face to the person who organized this bureau, so she simply let Yurube, who came with her, deal with it. I found a quiet place, put on my headphones and opened the newly updated third episode of Heritage of Calligraphy and Painting. Looking at my cousin's sister-in-law appearing in that gorgeous white dress, even though she had already been stunned at the show today, she still couldn't help but take a deep breath. Sure enough, this magnificence can only be suppressed by the temperament of the cousin-in-law. When she saw that the guests had finished their creations and the commentators were commenting, she glanced at the progress bar at the bottom of the screen. She thought it was almost the end, but she didn't expect it was only halfway through. This episode seems a bit long. The plot on the screen suddenly changed at this moment. Shen Chui couldn't help but widen her eyes as she watched. The audience who are also watching this show have similar reactions to her at this moment. I didn't expect that there would be such a big reversal in a variety show that promotes traditional calligraphy and painting. Not many people in the audience knew Chenju. After seeing the paralyzed girl who was pushed onto the stage, they couldn't help but curse. Those who follow Chen Jui's account are now surprised to find that this young man from the Chen family, who has always been very active on the internet, has indeed disappeared recently and has not posted any new works. It turns out that the car has already overturned. Soon, netizens dug out information about Chen Ju. The second young master of the Chen group, a proper second-generation rich man. The official account of the Chen group soon received a large number of scoldings for being rich and being unkind. Chen Rui is sitting in the study room, with a desktop computer and a laptop in front of him. On the desktop screen is Chen Ju's face that is full of panic but still has a sharp mouth. On the laptop are the company's account number and the public relations department who are still working overtime. However, the curses are still growing rapidly. Boom. There was a knock on the door. Chen Rui looked up and saw a head poking in carefully. Elder brother. Before Chen Ju could continue, Chen Rui grabbed the teacup on the table and threw it at the head without any hesitation. A piercing scream suddenly came from the spacious villa. The tragic situation in the villa was still unknown to the viewers who were watching the show with indignation. However, When they took advantage of the commercial break to check the hot searches, they discovered that in addition to the entries for hashtag Let Apologize and Atone for Their Sins, there were also a hot search related to the guests of painting and calligraphy handed down from generation to generation is also rising rapidly. Zhang Lingzi wears a copycat dress hashtag. Shen Shuiyu raised her head when she heard the footsteps stopping in front of her, and met He Jing's mocking eyes. You don't know, right? Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting next to you this morning, wore a fake dress to record a show. That dress seemed to be a copy of your Shanyu's Haiheng. How do you feel about this backstab? Shen Shuiyu. She hasn't looked at the hot searches yet, and she was really confused because of these words. After reacting, he paused the program he was watching and flipped the screen over. You're talking about this program? Who said she was wearing a fake dress? I remember you publicly said that this dress is not for loan. It's not a loan, I gave it to her, isn't it? He Jing was so blocked that she could not speak. But Shen Shuiyu was too lazy to pay attention to her and answered the call from her cousin. Let's clarify the matter about the fake dress. Okay, I just found out and I'm about to do it. Not only did she want to clarify, she also wanted to use this matter to make a big splash. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 457. In the RV, Lu Zhengzhen was spinning in circles in anger. The ratings for the first 2 episodes of Painting and Calligraphy handed down from generation to generation have been higher each episode, and she is sure that today's last episode will definitely hit a new high. So I was reading the news on the internet while watching it. Unsurprisingly, before the last episode was aired, I saw that there were hot searches on the internet for a collective crusade against Chenju. It was really satisfying to watch it. After following the crusade, she was about to put down her phone when she saw an entry saying that her sister Zixi was wearing a fake dress. Clicked in and took a look. Based on her years of experience on the internet, the traces of trolls in it were not too obvious. A guess suddenly popped up in her mind: someone paid for the hot search to hack her sister Zixi. Coupled with the fact that the program's ratings are still growing, some netizens who don't know the truth may have been misled by this hot search. Shan Yu's Haiheng's dress is indeed recognized as the most difficult to borrow. I heard that some first and second tier stars have tried to borrow it before, but they were all declined. Given Zhang Lingzi's status, the possibility of successfully borrowing it is even smaller. When I just watched the show, I told my mother that the dress Zhang Lingzi wore today was so stunning. I didn't expect it to be a copycat. Although the copycat version is also very good looking, it is not very authentic for the brand Shanyu's Haiheng. Is Zhang Lingzi so vain? I thought she had improved during this period. Wearing a copycat dress on the show is so bold. At the Shanyu's Haiheng brand side, what do you think of this situation? I have the impression that the Shanyu Zhiheng brand has always had a very tough attitude. Zhang Lingzi really dared to do it, and even appeared as a copycat of Shanyu Zhiheng on a national and Taiwanese variety show. This is simply a desperate act and there is no way to stop it. Have you just started to show signs of becoming popular? I heard that Zhang Lingzi is still filming the large-scale historical drama Empress Yuan Zhao, and she is still playing the heroine. Isn't this a trap for the crew? No, compared to the disgusting things that Chen Pei did that were exposed on the show, Zhang Lingzi just wore a copycat dress, and it was almost as popular as the former. Why do I feel that it is a bit abnormal? But there are only a few people who feel that this hot search is abnormal. Most people were disgusted by the Chenju incident that had just been revealed. Now they saw the hot search for the female star they had fanned in the first 2 episodes wearing fake clothes on the show, and they suddenly changed from appreciating it to hating it. After being incited a little bit, even if the Shanyu's Haiheng brand has not made any response, these people have subconsciously determined the counterfeit dress. Zhang Lingzi looked up after scrolling through this so-called hot search and looked at Lu Zhengzhen, who was walking around without even bothering to watch the show. Sit down and take a rest. You're making me a little dizzy. Lu Zhengzheng paused and said, Sister Zixi, this trending search is definitely because someone is deliberately targeting you. I know. Zhang Lingzi nodded towards her. She can even guess who is behind the scenes. I have to say that this method really doesn't make much progress. Of course, it may be that you feel that it is not good to try it out. Didn't I tell you that Shen Shuiyu, the person you met and had dinner with in the past 2 days, is the founder of Shanyu's Haiheng? Huh, Lu Zhengzheng opened her mouth so wide that she could stuff a duck egg in it. When she came to her senses, she sat down firmly. The founder of Shanyu's Haiheng is called Sister Zixi, cousin sister-in-law. If others can't borrow it, how can my own family not be able to borrow it? No wonder Sister Zixi you are so calm. I didn't expect it, and mainly I didn't dare to think about it. Who would have thought that the founder of Shanyu's Haiheng would be so young and so approachable? Shen Shuiyu is contacting her company's brand public relations and publicity departments. Since she plans to go beyond just clarifying, she naturally has to carefully consider how to speak on the brand's official account. Coupled with the remote command, this delayed a bit of time. The Chenju incident and the copycat dress incident on the hot search list jumped up several places after not many conferences, and the rankings are still getting closer. Su Qingmei poured herself a glass of red wine in a happy mood. She had ordered this hot search to be prepared early in the morning, just waiting to be published in time for the 3rd episode to air. Although the Chenju incident has taken away a lot of heat, the audience was also aroused by this incident. Now that she saw Zhang Lingzi seeking death, her anger was stronger than she had expected. She sipped the red wine and said to herself, Chen Jui has to thank me this time. If Zhang Lingzi hadn't helped attract some firepower, he would have been scolded even more. But speaking of it, even she didn't expect that the program team actually didn't cut out this paragraph. Even if she wasn't killed, her performance in the 3rd episode was somewhat unsatisfactory. Now that these two have become popular, not many viewers will pay attention to her. Looking at the figure on the screen that he still couldn't forget, can you still accept a girlfriend who wears a fake dress on a national TV variety show? Thinking of this, Su Qingmei put down her wine glass and sent another message to her assistant. With another wave of trolls, I want the entry about Zhang Lingzi wearing a fake dress to climb to the top of the search list as soon as possible. Also, has there been any response from Shanyu's Haiheng? Yes, there is. 1 minute ago. Su Qingmei couldn't help but laugh twice. Many of the hot searches she bought in the past were made out of nothing, but this time, she was very sure that Zhang Lingzi was not wronged. She couldn't even borrow Shanyu's Haiheng's dress. How could Zhang Lingzi, a 3rd-tier star, have such a big reputation? This time, she will definitely put a heavy hat on Zhang Lingzi's head, and she will not be able to take it off no matter how long it takes. Sister Qingmei. This time the assistant sent a voice message. Su Qingmei clicked on it, and as soon as she heard the first word, her smile faded. The tone was wrong. She was about to ask what was going on when she received a link from her assistant. Sister Qingmei, you'd better take a look at Shanyu's Haiheng's response first, and then consider whether to add another wave of trolls. Su Qingmei pursed her lips and clicked on the web link. The signal in the villa was very good. Within 2 seconds of waiting, Shanyu's Haiheng's account with a blue V appeared on the screen. She is gentle and cold, she is clear and awe-inspiring, she is a majestic mountain, and she is also a bright moon, as constant as the morning Sunday. The first global spokesperson of Shanyu's Haiheng is finally waiting for you, Zhang Lingzi. The accompanying picture below is clearly the photo of Zhang Lingzi wearing a white heavy-duty dress from the painting and calligraphy hands-on that is still being played. Further down, there is a message from the account of the founder of Shanyu's Haiheng. Shenchuiav, hashtag wears a copycat dress, hashtag I almost laughed when I saw this hot search. My Shanyu's Haiheng dress, especially this Zanyu Lingshuang, is purely handmade and took nearly 3 months to make. there wasn't even a model's upper body picture before, and I really can't think of anyone who could copy it. After this post, there were already nearly 10,000 comments in just a few minutes. But Su Qingmei no longer had the intention to look at it, and threw the phone away with a ferocious look on her face. Shan Yu's Haihang spokesperson, it's just Zhang Lingzi, why should she? Just when Su Qingmei was so stimulated that she started to go crazy, after Shen Shuiyu finished working on the brand account, she took a screenshot and gave it to Zhang Lingzi, and began to claim credit. Sister-in-law, my spokesperson's advertising words are not bad, right? Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 458. Zhang Lingzi was not nervous because she knew that Shen Shuiyu would definitely help clarify it after she found out. But being suddenly officially announced as the spokesperson of Shan Yu's Haiheng was something she never expected. After reading the advertisement that Shen Shuiyu screenshot, she made a phone call directly. Sister-in-law, Shen Shuiyu answered the phone with a smile. She was not surprised by the call at all. Actually, I originally thought that we would go through the formal process after you returned to the capital after filming. Who is this? I know that someone actually said today that you are wearing Shan Yu's Haiheng's fake dress, let alone you. I can't bear it. Can anyone copy Shan Yu's Haiheng's dress? If you have such ability, you still need to copy other people's clothes. But I just took this opportunity to announce it directly. Would it be a little sloppy? Zhang Lingzi believes that she has now mastered some of the various processes in the entertainment industry. There are quite a lot of things that need to be reviewed when it comes to selecting spokespersons for brands. It's not just that the celebrity is popular enough to be a brand spokesperson. Not to mention a high-end brand like Shan Yu's Haiheng that has gone global, the qualification standards for spokespersons must be higher. Actually, just clarify, you announced me as a spokesperson on your official account so quickly you probably didn't go through various evaluation procedures, right? She still remembered what Sister Tong said back then, that even some first and second tier celebrities were very coveted by the brand Shan Yu's Haiheng. Not to mention that this is the first spokesperson of Shan Yu's Haiheng since its establishment, which is of great significance. Now it is suddenly announced that she will be the one to take over. With so many people under the brand, how can she convince the public if she suddenly comes here like this? Then you must have been under a lot of pressure, Zhang. Shen Shuiyu couldn't help but feel warm in her heart. To be honest, after making this decision, she did receive several disapproving suggestions very quickly. Although she is the founder of Shan Yu's Haiheng, the development of Shan Yu's Haiheng to the present is the result of the joint efforts of her and many capable talents under her. Without these people, there would not be Shan Yu's Haiheng today. Those who objected basically felt that my cousin's current status was not high enough and she had no representative works. The position of spokesperson is really not qualified. Although his appearance on the program Heritage was amazing enough, he didn't have a significant enough masterpiece, and the rest were just empty. It was she who held a remote video conference, solemnly confirmed her vote with these people, and gave her conclusive guarantees that made these people reluctantly nod, and the news of announcing the spokesperson appeared on Shan Yu's Haiheng's official account. Otherwise, she just needs to use her own account to clarify. But her cousin understands her pressure. That's enough. Haha, Shen Shuiyu smiled in a relaxed tone, I know how to seize the opportunity. The big show organized by Sister Yoon today should be broadcast on various platforms soon. When the time comes, cousin, you can go big. I'm afraid the news about the finale of the show will come out soon. Next, there will be invitations to international fashion festivals. I'm afraid that Shan Yu's Haiheng won't be able to grab you as a spokesperson by then. This is called attacking first. In this case, I will try my best not to disappoint your Shan Yu's Haiheng. I believe my cousin. Well, it's getting late, let's go to bed early. So does my cousin-in-law. However, Not many people inside and outside the industry can fall asleep quickly after seeing the official announcement of Shanyu's Haiheng's spokesperson. That Shanyu's Haiheng, who has always been aloof and mysterious, turned out to be the official spokesperson late at night, which shocked my whole family. This is in response to the hot search hashtag wears a copycat dress hashtag, but it is not a clarification but a direct announcement of the spokesperson, which really shocked me. I don't understand why Shanyu's Haiheng, a high-end brand that has gone global, would choose Zhang Lingzi as its spokesperson. Moreover, the dress worn by Zhang Lingzi in Legendary belonged to Shanyu's Haiheng, which means that they had already been in contact at that time. They didn't choose a movie queen like Su Qingmei. Why on earth did they choose Zhang Lingzi, who was only a third-tier actress? This question also puzzles several first and second-tier artists who are interested in the position of spokesperson for Shanyu's Haiheng. Those who have left contact information with each other will see that the position of Shanyu's Haiheng's spokesperson has been settled, and they can't help but send messages to each other. He laughed at himself. We fought over each other in private, but unexpectedly we got the advantage over Zhang Lingzi, a third-tier artist who doesn't even have a masterpiece. Even Su Qingmei is not interested in Shanyu's Haiheng, let alone us. Ah, now I can only comfort myself in this way. Zhang Lingzi. Many people are still chewing on this name in their hearts before going to sleep. Before, I didn't think that such a third-tier actor could be much of a threat, but now, I'm afraid I have to really take it seriously. But the most exciting thing about this meeting is Lu Zhengzheng. Just now, I was so angry that I was gritting my teeth because of the trending search topic hashtag wears a copycat dress hashtag, but now I am already smiling. Sister He Zixi, who is secretly hiding behind the scenes, must have been so angry that she vomited blood by now. She spent so much money to pull up hot searches, but in the end she made a wedding dress for Sister Zixi. Ha ha ha, I'm going to die laughing. Me. Sister Zixi, look, your number of fans has exceeded 6 million, and it's still growing. Originally, I thought I would be satisfied if the number of fans reached 6 million after the broadcast of Legend, but looking at the current popularity, there will be no problem at all when it exceeds 7 million tomorrow morning. Zhang Lingzi took the mobile phone handed over by Lu Zhengzheng and just glanced at it when Tong Yu called. She picked it up and asked, "You're still up so late?" "How could I possibly sleep?" Tong Yu's voice was trembling, but it was not cold but excited. "Shanyu's Haiheng officially announced that you will be their spokesperson. I never dared to think about it before. Just now I called you when I calmed down. My little ancestor, you are filming in the Liangchuan desert. How could you cause such a big earthquake? Calm down, this is indeed a bit sudden. I just found out about it, not much earlier than you." As Zhang Lingzi said this, she remembered that before Mr. Carlo said goodbye to her during the day, he had said that he would send a handwritten invitation to the grand ceremony when he returned. She considered that she was still filming in the desert at that time, so she gave it to Tong Yu's office in the company. The address of. Now that her agent has learned that she has become the spokesperson of Shanyu's Haiheng, he is so excited. When he receives the invitation letter from Mr. Carlo, he will not faint immediately, right? That's sloppy. It should be that Shanyu's Haiheng was optimistic about you from the beginning. Now that the show is broadcast, he is very satisfied with your performance, so he will directly announce the spokesperson. By the way, he also clarified the issue of the fake dress. Speaking of this, Tong Yu was silent for a moment. Yu said, "Since you just found out, I forgive you. But, you have nothing else to hide from me, right?" "Well, I helped a new friend walk a show today." "New friends, what show?" "Yun Chan, the founder of the Yun brand. The show she held in Liangchuan happened to be relatively close to where I was filming." Sister Tong, you should be able to see the official show video released by the brand tomorrow. Tong Yu. Very good, she won't have to sleep at all tonight. Such news is more effective than 10 cups of coffee. How can she sleep? End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 459. After Zhang Lingzi hung up the call from Tong Yu, she asked Lu Zhengzheng and Chang Ning to go to bed. Tong Yu really kept her eyes open until dawn, and she was so excited that she couldn't fall asleep at all. I even bought some strong black coffee on my way to the company in the morning, just to avoid feeling sleepy during the day. Before I even walked into the office, I received a somewhat off-key congratulations to Sister Tong. I even got the endorsement deal with Shan Yu's Haiheng. It's really a good job. Tong Yu looked up at Li Yuan and saw the big bags under her eyes at a glance. The black and blue marks didn't work even with concealer. She must have had a hard time last night. She immediately smiled and said modestly, no, it's Xiao 11 who has the ability and is attracted by Shan Yu's Haiheng. To be honest, she really didn't dare to take credit for this endorsement. Li Yuan just felt that the smile on the face of the man in front of him was too dazzling. Taking a deep breath, he continued, Mr. Xiao wants to see you, so go directly to his office. She specially came to Tong Yu's office to deliver a message. As for why she was able to send the message, it was naturally because she had just come out of Mr. Xiao's office. Those who were punished after a beating. Then Jing Huai, who is in the same company and also appeared on this show, can be called Zhang Lingzi's control group. She won't say anything until she gets an endorsement. This kind of opportunity is rare. Now she is only jealous of Zhang Lingzi and Tong Yu's fans. But even she didn't expect that a show could become popular and lose fans. Not to mention using this program to get in touch with director Shi Chengrui's mother, and then director Shi. The Mr. Li on the program was completely dissatisfied with Jing Huai's unpretentious words, and just wanted to use this to get director Shi's favor. Go ahead and dream. Li Yuan still felt that the words Mr. Xiao had just scolded her were still echoing in her ears. Don't take the porcelain job without that diamond. I don't even know how talented the artists under my management are. Why do I want you as an agent to plan the careers of artists? Look at Tong Yu. She was given a bad rap, and when she came out, she was asked to inform Tong Yu. It goes without saying that this person definitely didn't come to Mr. Xiao's office to be disciplined. Zhang Lingzi became the spokesperson for Shan Yu's Haiheng, and the company didn't provide any support at all. She still got it by herself during the filming. It was almost a 360-degree blind angle that crushed Jing Huai under her hand. It just so happens that not long ago, Tong Yu could only breathe on her own. Now looking at Tong Yu's face that was still proud even though she tried her best to control it, Li Yuan felt that his heart was about to be scorched. I'll go over right away. Tong Yu guessed that Mr. Xiao came to her because Yu's Haiheng went up to the mountain last night to announce that Zhang Lingzi would be the spokesperson. She was going to go there directly with coffee in hand. When they passed each other, Li Yuan couldn't hold it back. Zhang Lingzi has now become the spokesperson of Shan Yu's Haiheng, so he should be qualified to attend international fashion festivals. However, Shan Yu's Haiheng is still too young to be considered internationally. If it's a little bit higher, Jing Huai should be ranked higher than her. As we all know, large-scale events such as international fashion festivals have some familiar regulations. One of them, even people who are not involved in the entertainment industry, know that the later the appearance, the heavier the weight, and the one who appears in the finale is the most powerful among the powerful. On the other hand, those who appeared in the front were all junior players and would not receive much attention. Even though Zhang Lingzi has the identity of Shan Yu's Haiheng as the spokesperson, given her status, she is indeed not qualified to postpone her appearance. Tong Yu was mentally prepared and was naturally not irritated by Li Yuan's words. You have to eat food one bite at a time. If you eat one bite and become fat, I'm afraid I won't be able to digest it. By the way, How many pictures have I seen of you in the past 2 days? Jia Jinghui's birth chart is in a bad state, and fans are a little worried. There is only 1 month left for this fashion festival, so we still need to make some adjustments. Li Yuan's face froze, and he left with high heels and a bit hasty and messy steps. Tong Yu knocked on the door of Mr. Xiao's office happily. Enter. Mr. Xiao, are you calling me? Here, take a seat. The main reason I called you here today is to talk about the company's later plans for Zhang Lingzi. You are her agent. If you have any ideas, you can mention them directly. Tong Yu suddenly felt better. This conversation lasted for almost an hour, and Tong Yu only had one bottom of coffee left in her hand. She stood up and said, I will talk to Xiao 11 when I get back. With the strong support of the company and Mr. Xiao, she will be busier and busier in the future, so she must be mentally prepared. As soon as they finished speaking, their mobile phones on the table vibrated almost simultaneously. Seeing that Mr. Xiao had already picked up his phone to read, Tong Yu also picked up her phone. After unlocking her face, a message popped up on the screen. This is the special attention she gives to Zhang Lingzi. As long as Zhang Lingzi posts updates or someone on the internet likes Zhang Lingzi, she will receive it. Click on it and you will see a super VIP account in red and bold, which can only be used if the number of fans on the entire network exceeds 300 million. Yun Chan's Yun V, the Liang Chuan show was a complete success. I would like to thank Zhang Lingzi for bringing the show to a successful conclusion. Chen Chuo, you are quick enough. Since you are the spokesperson of your family, you cannot refuse your role as Yun brand ambassador. Zhang Lingzi, you are worth it. Tong Yu's breathing became rapid. Even for a moment, I suspected that I was dazzled. But underneath this update is the edited show video just released by Yun's official account. The scene lasted almost 2 hours, but the edited version only lasted about 5 or 6 minutes. Hands of both hands clicked play at the same time. First of all, there are the guests of the big show. This is for netizens to see. I'm afraid those in the fashion industry won't recognize it. They also have thoughtful subtitles. Although Tong Yu is not from the fashion industry, there are many intersections between the fashion industry and the entertainment industry. She couldn't recognize the other people, but she recognized Mr. Carlo, a famous figure in the fashion industry, at a glance. Of course, there is another reason. The old man watched the show right next to his own artist. Tong Yu touched her heart, which was beating like a drum. Then came the scene of the models walking on the catwalk. Occasionally for a second, the camera would scan the viewing area, and she watched several scenes of her own artist and Mr. Carlo in the same frame. As the video came to an end and the camera panned across the auditorium, Tong Yu saw that Zhang Lingzi's seat was empty, leaving only Mr. Carlo. No way. Muttering to himself, Mr. Xiao, who was sitting at his desk, couldn't help but look up at her. But when he lowered his head, he understood the reason why Tong Yu said these 3 words. This will appear in the video. There are no other models behind. It seems that the model walking in the finale is the one who walked in the finale. Who is it if it's not Zhang Lingzi who we just chatted with for a while? The video finally freezes on the scene of Yun Chan holding Zhang Lingzi's hand and taking all the models together for the curtain call. After a while, there was a sound of taking a breath in the office. Tong Yu's tone was faint and a little unbelievable. Xiao 11 said yesterday that she went to Yun Chan's big show to save the show. You didn't tell me that she was on the finale. Mr. Xiao, this news is the official announcement that Zhang Lingzi has become Yun's brand ambassador again. Tong Yu. The word again is used very spiritually. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 460. First, he is the global spokesperson of Shanyu's Haiheng, and then he is the brand ambassador of Yun. Also attended the finale of the Yunzhen Liangkawa show. The news about Zhang Lingzi comes one after another on the internet, which really stimulates many people. Even the search volume for the words Zhang Lingzi has increased by an unknown amount in a short time. Anyway, when you click on the actor search ranking, you can clearly see that every time the three characters Zhang Lingzi are refreshed, several nouns will be added up, followed by a red and bold button that continues to increase in popularity. Click on Zhang Lingzi's homepage again. Under the latest video update of Liang Chuan's show, the comments have received tens of thousands of likes in less than 10 minutes, and the number of comments has exceeded 10,000. This is already very popular among first and second tier artists in the industry. Who could have imagined that it would be so powerful? In 1 minute, I want to know what Zhang Lingzi has done this year. How did it suddenly become the new favorite of high-end clothing brands? As the public began to take stock carefully, even the slow-paced variety shows Let's Travel Together, the variety show Survival, and even some of the TV series she acted in earlier, which had already cooled down, also followed the popularity. It's a little higher. After everyone read it one by one with full of doubts, a hot search also slowly climbed up. Hashtag Zhang Lingzi's secret to counterattack and becoming famous, find the right position hashtag. Not only did netizens click on this entry, but many artists also clicked on it and looked at it. I want to know how Zhang Lingzi finds the right position. If they can also learn it, can they also succeed in counterattacking like Zhang Lingzi? But the more they read on, the people who were still full of confidence said, survival in the wilderness, archery, Go, calligraphy and painting, can these skills be learned and mastered by just learning? This is not to embarrass them. However, for the majority of netizens, although they do not feel embarrassed, they are indeed stimulated by these skill points. So another hot search quickly made the list. Hashtag Ask Zhang Lingzi, how do you refresh so many skill points while working? Hashtag. It is best to get the method. If not, it is also good to get some encouragement from the righteous master. The army of questions quickly grew. After all, most people in the world have a desire to become more powerful. At the same time, it also brought a surge in the number of fans. The first thing Lu Zhengzheng did after waking up in the morning was to refresh the homepage of her sister Xixi's account. When she saw that the number of fans at the bottom of the account was approaching the 8 million mark, I'm still conservative. At this moment, it looks like it is heading towards the tens of millions mark. Zhang Lingzi just received a call from Yun Chan. This was another one that was dealt with first and later. She strongly doubted whether this person had learned from Shen Chuiyu. As far as she knew, Shen Chuiyu was still in Liang Chuan today. This Liang Chuan show was a complete success, and you have contributed a lot to it. Ling 11 I also sent the video of your show to the brand promotion department. I gave you the status of a brand ambassador, and no one will question it. Brand ambassadors are not as important as spokespersons. If they were given directly to spokespersons, they might be opposed. However, a brand ambassador can still give Zhang Lingzi a spot based on her performance in the show. As for whether he can be promoted from a brand ambassador to a spokesperson in the future, it will depend on the artist's multifaceted efforts. Zhang Lingzi also understands this truth. It's just that she is a spokesperson first and a brand ambassador. The time interval between the two releases is less than 12 hours, and they are both well-known brands, especially Yoon. She can imagine how many people are discussing her online now. This thought just crossed my mind. Lu Zhengzhen's exclamation came to my ears, Sister Zixi, wait, let me count, you are on the hot search list for, no, 5. The hot search list only displays the top 60 searches. Stars in the entertainment industry often appear on the hot searches, but generally each person can only account for 1 or 2 of the hot searches. Now there are 5 in total. Even if 2 of them are borrowed from the eternity of the mountain and the moon and the east wind of the cloud, there are still 3 left. Proper top flow heat. As Lu Zhengzheng spoke, he quickly took a screenshot. This was simply a historic moment. Zhang Lingzi glanced at the historic screenshot that was sent to her, and turned it off to cool down her excited face that was already flushed. No one would have thought that Shanyu's Haiheng and Yunhui would suddenly announce their spokespersons and brand ambassadors. And it's the same person, and it's someone they didn't expect, so it aroused such a high degree of enthusiasm for a period of time. Ah! Changning was calmer. What Sister Zixi means is that the current high level of enthusiasm is actually all false. It's just that it has caused too much shock to everyone within a period of time, which is why it has triggered so many discussions. Zhang Lingzi looked at the number of fans under her account that was still rising with every update, and glanced at Lu Zhenzhen's face, which had finally begun to calm down. A large part of the fans this time are due to the popularity this time. The next thing to do is to leave them behind. After all, you can unfollow it after following it. If you are excited by such a colorful display, fans may turn into negative fans. She has never forgotten that when she first came here, the original owner's account was dominated by anti-fans. She will not make any mistakes, so the people under her will also follow her steps. In the entertainment industry, which is a kind of fame and fortune fair, floating is a taboo. Okay, let's go out to enjoy the breeze and have breakfast. The wind and sand from the desert blew all the way from the RV to the canteen, and the temperature dropped completely. Although the signal to the crew is not very good, now everyone lives and eats together. As long as 1 or 2 people see the hot search on the internet, everyone will basically know about it. As soon as Zhang Lingzi entered the tent, she was met with dozens of looks with various meanings. Envy, jealousy, dissatisfaction, to name a few. But the congratulations he said sounded particularly sincere. Teacher Zhang is really a blockbuster this time. Teacher Zhang, this first step into the fashion industry is beyond the reach of others. Congratulations. Wei Minmin waved to Zhang Lingzi, who had finished her meal, and waited for someone to come over. She said nothing and only gave a thumbs up. Zhang Lingzi smiled and put her hand back on the chopsticks. Okay, let's eat. Some congratulations, just listen to them, there is no need to take them seriously. Asterisk. Daidu Airport, VIP waiting room. Shen Yunqing took the soda water handed over by Chang Ying, unscrewed the bottle cap and was about to drink it, when he saw the door of the waiting room opposite being pushed open from the outside, and a figure walked in from the outside. Chang Ying, who was about to take a seat, suddenly froze. Even Chang Fu, who had been fiddling with the computer, noticed the suddenly tense atmosphere in the waiting room and raised his head in confusion. Once he saw who was coming, he immediately closed the computer with a snap. Kong Guyan walked straight to one of the empty sofa chairs and asked, "Is the seat convenient for me to sit on?" Shen Yunqing nodded slightly calmly. Luan Hua dragged her suitcase in behind. After seeing other people in the waiting room, she quickly swallowed what she was about to say. There are still 40 minutes left to board the plane. 2 voices sounded almost at the same time. Kong Guyan turned to look to the side. "Sir, are we on the same flight?"